the skills.
Thank you.
All right.
My name is April Nallen. I am a divorce recovery coach. I am a certified life breakthrough and Christian coach, but I do specialize in divorce recovery. I've
Wow.
been coaching people for 10 years now. And so for the first 7 years of that, I did business coaching specifically around marketing. And then in 2019, I went through a very sudden divorce. And so I
Mm,
had 20 minutes notice, a 20-minute conversation that my husband was leaving, and 7 days later, he was gone and any trace of him in our home was gone. And while this was a devastating event, what was worse was that it was my third divorce.
wow.
And so I had realized that I'd gotten divorced every 10 years since I was 21. So I'd gotten divorced at 21, 31, and now 41.
Wow.
And in that moment, I was like, okay, God, something's not right. Maybe it's
Mhm.
me. Um, Maybe I'm the common denominator,
Mhm,
but I
mhm.
went on a year-long healing journey with God. And that was, being angry with God, being vulnerable, coaching, counseling, therapy. I went on the top of a mountain and I had a funeral for my life, my old life.
Wow. Wow.
And at the end of that year, I wrote a book about my journey
Mm,
just to share what I had gone through. But it was more than writing the story. It was the nail in the coffin, per se, of my healing. And so I
mm,
believe that God had me to write that story so that I could write it from a space of being a survivor and not a victim.
mm.
And so after releasing the book, I then began coaching women who had been divorced. I launched a podcast. It's called Move the Finish Line. It'll be Divorce Remix next year, but it'll be my third year with the podcast. And so that's how I got to where I am today is I decided, and I use that word very, very, very intentionally. I
Uh-huh.
decided to use my pain to fuel my purpose.
This
And
is
so
wow.
that's how
Wow.
I got here to coaching divorced people.
Wow, this is amazing. And also talk about literally remixing how this turning what the devil meant for bad and turning around together for good. So let's go ahead and get started right off the bat. So again, this is something that's near and dear to your heart as far as this is concerned in terms of providing skills. So we're getting together and now the families are getting together and now divorced people are now getting together and now they're having to go ahead and deal with each other. Give us some tactics and some strategies that can help us keep the peace and really survive these holidays because we got Christmas, we got Thanksgiving tomorrow, we got
Mhm.
Christmas, we got New Year's. We're going to be seeing a lot of each other on that. What type of advice are you giving for folks that you've been coaching and how to handle this season?
That is an excellent question. The holidays can definitely be that season where emotions flare up and vengefulness can flare up, but also
Mm,
friendships can
yeah,
flare up.
yeah.
So I have been divorced, like I said, 3 times.
Mhm,
However, the only ex-husband I have any type of relationship with is my daughter's father.
mhm,
And so we have been divorced for 14 years.
yeah,
She was 6 months old when we divorced. And so we've
mhm,
gone through a lot of holidays and birthdays and different seasons, co-parenting as divorced people.
mhm,
So the first thing that I would say is have a plan. Okay. A
mhm,
lot of times we go into situations with no type of plan at all, and that's when things blow up. And
mhm,
so from the perspective of your children, if you are in a space where you got to spend the holidays with your ex because of your children,
yeah,
make sure you have a plan and make sure you keep your children first. So for us, we have never really done holidays together. We
mhm,
decided that because we were no longer together, it was best for my daughter for us to create our own traditions with her.
okay,
Okay. And so that's okay. One of the things that I see a lot in couples is they're trying to protect their children from the effects of divorce. But unfortunately, there are some sad effects of divorce. And one
mhm,
of them is that you may no longer do things as a family.
right,
And so have a plan, have a conversation with your children about why you're not together, because
mhm,
now you're starting traditions with mommy or you're starting traditions with daddy.
mhm,
Okay. If you do choose to be together, make sure you're making it about your children and not
mhm.
about you. All right.
Wow.
And what I
Okay.
mean by that is, so I had an example where it wasn't a holiday, but it was a birthday party where I would go with my ex-husband to his family's house because I'm still close with them because of my daughter.
Right.
And so while we were there, I made sure to make my daughter as comfortable as possible while we were both there. The other thing that you can do is be present. And what I mean by that is focus on the day. So if you are together, you're not talking about what someone did last week, what they did 6 months ago, what they did last Christmas, and you ruined this Christmas. That is not the time and place for that.
Okay.
Enjoy the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can talk about those things some other time. So those are the biggest things.
In fact, I want to jump in here because this is so cool. For those of you guys joining right now, you're watching Progress Not Perfection. I got the amazing April Nolan here as well, giving us some really good sage advice. All right, so how do we avoid some triggers? Because obviously, in fact, things get a little salty on some divorces and all stuff in relationships. Or maybe it's not even a divorce. Maybe it was just a long time. You guys were together a long time. You had children. Now we're kind of getting it back and all stuff. What can one do in a healthy way avoid the triggers on that as well? Or when the triggers inevitably come up and we know if we don't make some decisions real quickly, this can go pretty bad pretty quick. How have you advised in that area?
Yeah, the first thing that I would say is know your triggers and be honest about your triggers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So don't sugarcoat if you are going to feel jealous about seeing their new significant other, if you are going to feel a certain way about being around their family, you need to be honest about that. And you may need to make the decision to stay away. And that is just setting healthy boundaries for yourself. And if you choose to do that, then other people need to respect those boundaries. Okay. So first and foremost, ask yourself, why are you going to the event? So are you going because you're going to be supportive? Your children want you there, things like that. Are you going because I want them to see what I look like and I want them to see my new significant other and I want to, so check your feelings and figure out, why am I there? Be honest about your triggers so that you know your triggers. Now, some triggers are unavoidable, right? There are things just going to pop up and you may go, man, I didn't know I was going to feel that way about that.
Sure.
So have a plan. I talk about a lot. Have a plan. Have a contingency, whether that is I'm only going to stay for dinner, then I'm going to leave. I'm only going to stay for a portion, then I'm going to leave. Or I'll go in and say hi to everyone, but I'm going to go home. Or we're not going to sit at the same table or next to each other. Or I'm only going to communicate with certain people. And if you can, make a plan with your ex-spouse, okay? Get them involved and say, look, I know that when you and I are in the room together, it's like putting out a fire with gasoline, okay? Like we know this going in. And so if you can make a plan with your spouse, whether that is if you don't get along, maybe you're there part of the day, they're there another part of the day, right? Whatever it may take, for you to make sure that the holidays remain healthy and happy mentally, physically, emotionally for you. And then if you have children. Now, let's say this, if you don't have children, okay, so things that I do with my ex-husband, it's because of my daughter. If you don't have children, you may want to ask yourself, why am I even attending this event? And be honest about why you're attending this event. And I'll give you an example. So my ex-husband and I were close. I'm still close with his family because of my daughter. When she was younger and we were both single, I would get invited to family functions and it really wasn't a big thing because we got along. Well, when he got to the place of where he was seriously dating someone else, we were about to get married. When I started to get invited to things, I would decline. And the reason why is because I wanted to make sure that they could now become their own family without me being a hindrance because I had a previous relationship with his family. And so even though maybe his mom or someone, hey, I want you to come out to this, you know what? I'm going to stay home or I'm going to celebrate with you on another day. Okay. So sometimes we just have to take the high road. We have to be the adults. And that doesn't mean you're not going to feel something, but don't be afraid of your feelings. Feelings are just indicators that something is going on. So if you have to decline and you're like, man, it kind of hurts not to be that, that's okay. You'll get over the hurt. But do what you need to do to make sure you can stay mentally and emotionally healthy through those holidays.
Guys, this is so much to unpack on that, so much to unpack because we're really talking about in terms of basically taking ownership of ourselves here and particularly taking ownership of our pettiness.
Yes.
Pettiness. We can go ahead and go there as well. Matter of fact, listen real quick and also because this is the questions are coming fast and furious. First of all, hey, LaBelle, I see you out there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate that. All right. So how can one start getting in shape for this? And also we know this is going to be tough. let's say, I'm complete, I'm great, I'm great. Do we do that kind of stuff? What are we doing? Waterfalls. What are we doing here to go ahead and get ready to kind of get in shape with this? I love, first of all, you giving us some air cover to simply just not go. Mm-hmm. But in a situation where it's not avoidable, how can one get in shape? A matter of fact, for this to get prepared, or is that even a thing? I don't know.
That is a thing. If you know that you have a big event coming up, mm-hmm. and particularly as women, we'll get in shape physically, right? Yeah. So we'll go to the gym, we'll buy the right outfit, we'll get in shape, we'll get ready. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing mentally and emotionally, okay? If you know that there are certain things that are coming up that are going to have specific, cause you to have specific reactions, mm-hmm. going back to getting your plan. Right. That may be getting a coach, hello. And having them help you to put a plan in place. So your plan may look like things like, I'm going to avoid this topic.
Got it.
I'm not going to answer these questions. I'm going to redirect these questions. I'm only going to stay for so long. I'm only going to go to so many events. I'm not going to drink because when I drink, then my filter comes off. Mm-hmm. And so getting in shape really means going back to being honest and open with yourself, mm-hmm. about your feelings, your triggers, and putting a plan in place. And some of that plan may be, I just don't attend certain events, mm-hmm. or I only attend for a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. But getting in shape is just like when we get in shape for, that summer body, when we get mm-hmm. in shape for that big event, there are ways to get yourself mentally, emotionally in shape. Start things like confessions. Write out a biblical confession about how this season is going to go and how you are going to feel and how you want to feel. And you start confessing that in October, getting ready for Thanksgiving. Okay? Like, look.
But listen, if it takes that, it takes that. And that's what we're doing. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation. I'm here with the amazing April Nolan on that. Matter of fact, she is a divorce recovery coach as well as a relationship expert going on here. And we're talking about how to holiday proof your dating and relationships. Let's get into the dating aspect of this and also, matter of fact, the weather outside is frightful. Isn't that what the song says and all stuff? Yes. So all of a sudden now we're envisioning, Hallmark movies of us mm-hmm. finding our true love and all those type of things. April, help us to discern fact from fiction. What should someone expect dating in this season? And how can we keep ourselves from getting needlessly caught up on maybe a fantasy and not be able to see the reality? Help us on that.
Oh, that is a good one, especially for women, right? Mm-hmm. Because all of the Hallmark movies, like you said, the Lifetime movies and the songs are out there mm-hmm. and the sleigh mm-hmm. rides and mm-hmm. all these things, right? So it makes us feel a certain way. And so I think this is a great time for us to talk about cuffing season.
Ooh, cuffing. Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who are unfamiliar, cuffing season is typically the season between October and like the day after Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Wow.
This is the time when single people start to get into typically unhealthy relationships because we're anticipating the holiday seasons and the being alone and wanting to have someone to go to parties with and all these different things. And so because of all those feelings and anticipations, we tend to look for these short-term relationships because I'm just going to fill the gap with a guy or with a girl in order to do that. Okay. So one of the things that I do for myself, because as a woman, and I'm not the, I guess, typical like emotional woman, right? My best friend, she'll be like, girl, I'm watching this Lifetime movie. And I'm like, I'm watching something about a serial killer. So, that I'm just not that girl. Okay. But we have to be able to separate fact from fiction and fact from fantasy.
Help us.
This is where the word says to guard our hearts.
Right.
Right. If you find yourself immersed in different movies or songs or things that you're watching that are and seeing, they're invoking these emotions in you that are not real, you might have to turn that off. Okay. And I'm very big on guarding ourselves. I'm very big on doing the work, which is not always easy. Okay. Yeah. So, but it's the holiday season. All right. So this is where you do things like join a small group. So my church particularly has small groups and they're not all, kind of Bible study, but they're fun. Get out, join a small group. One of the things that I truly believe is that God made us for companionship. So
Mm-hmm.
we are made to feel the lack of companionship when it's not there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
during the holiday seasons, this is where you might need to go to some concerts, go to some holiday parties, take yourself out on a trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do different things so that you don't get immersed in that fantasy world. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, what happens is come January 1st, come February 15th, that fantasy is over.
Wow.
One of
Wow.
the other things that I'm really big on is evaluation, right? Evaluating your feelings. And so one of the things that I would do is when I would get out of an unhealthy relationship, I would write how I felt. Like
Mm.
I felt dumb. I felt isolated. I
Uh,
felt, I would write how I felt. So in those lonely moments, and I get lonely too. Loneliness is a real thing.
mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
have a toolbox that I can go to and I can say, all right, if I make the decision to make this phone call, how am I going to feel?
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what you'll find is that the more tools that you use, the less those lonely seasons will come and the less intense they'll be. Okay. So if you need to get a dog, you want to cuddle, get a dog. That dog will cuddle and sleep with you and
Guys,
welcome you when you get home. Look, do what you got to do.
uh,
But
matter matter of
join
fact,
the
guys,
group.
guys, I'm seeing the chat blow up here. But put in the hashtag get a dog.
Get a dog.
Matter of fact, get a dog, get yourself a cat, and all stuff as well. Okay, so this is some really great guys. We're getting real here, as you can tell right now. You're watching edition of matter of fact. If you're just joining right now, you're watching Progress Not Perfection. I'm Coach Desmond with the amazing matter of fact divorce recovery coach, author, speaker, and just overall amazing person, April Nolan. And we're getting some very sage advice for this season. Okay, so we find a girl, we find a guy on that in the season. It feels good. I mean, nothing wrong with it. We're getting involved here on that. How can I know if this is for real or if I'm just in a quote unquote, we're just here now stage and then matter of fact, see you next spring, type of thing. And also, how can we tell going in eyes wide open, this is real or this is fake and we're just here because we're just simply two lonely people getting together. Yeah. Help us go ahead and discern that. Go for it.
Great question. And what I'm going to share with you, this is advice across the board if you're going to start dating, whether you start in the holidays, in the summertime. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, ask yourself, why do you want to date? Okay.
Mm.
Do you want to date because there's a need you're trying to fill? Because everyone else is doing it? Because you're lonely? Why do you want to date? Okay. And I'm going to share this. When you are a recovering addict, there's an acronym called HALT, HALT, that stands for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Okay.
Okay. HALT.
And they'll tell recovering addicts, don't make major decisions when you are in this situation. You need to halt. Okay. So I use that same acronym in my dating workshop. But the HALT stands for something a little bit different. It's don't date when you're horny, angry, lonely, or tired. Okay. And
say that, say that again for the kids in the back.
Do not date when you're horny, angry, lonely, or tired. Okay. HALT. So literally HALT. Stop. And so we all have a physical need for sex, right? Regardless if you believe that that is within the confines of marriage or not, we're not going to get into that discussion, but we have that need. Okay. Yeah. But what happens is when we date out of a physical need, that's what leads to one night stands and friends with benefits. Years ago, I got into a friends with benefits situation because of that. Look, I needed someone in the bed with me. Great guy, became friends. It took us 3 years to end that. 3 years of my life that was wasted in that relationship. So angry, the A, it's just like, I'm angry with life. I'm angry with this season. I'm angry with where I'm at. Don't date. Don't go looking for nothing then. When you're lonely, right? Like we said, God created us to crave companionship. If you're lonely, do something with that time. Start a business, get a job, travel, do something. And then tired. And tired isn't necessarily I'm sleepy. It's I'm tired of this situation. I'm tired of my life. I'm tired of being single. Listen to the words that you're using about your situation. And if you're saying things like, I'm over this, I'm tired, I need, these are all warning signs that it is not a good time for you to start dating.
Wow. Wow. Guys, matter of fact, for those of you guys who are listening to right now, maybe you guys are the best friend of someone who right now who needs to halt on that. This is a great acronym, and also HAL. Matter of fact, do not, again, let's go and repeat that again. And also matter of fact, do not date or do not consider dating if you are horny, angry,
lonely,
or
tired.
Tired.
Yeah.
Now, interesting, you can tell right now someone who's listening to this like saying, well, hold on a second. What other reason is there to date other than that? These are needs I want to go ahead and fill. So let me get logical here for a second. You're the expert here. I have these feelings. Mm-hmm. How can they be satiated? How can they be satisfied in a way that is healthy in the meantime? Because listen, this stuff is real. I've been there myself, got so frustrated. To where it's like, so screw it, I'm done.
Yep.
So went off and all stuff, and this got involved in a relationship simply because of the fact that I was both, matter of fact, I was horny, I was angry on that, I was lonely, and I was all together all at the same time, and then went and got involved in terms of getting a need met. So in those situations when that's legit, us, male or female, you know who you are out there going on here, what's a healthy outlet for me to go ahead and get these things satiated so I don't have to go there?
Yes. So, and keep in mind that when I talk about that acronym, this could be, I'm feeling this way for a couple days. I'm not talking about, I've been lonely for 10 years. That's not what I'm talking about. Because there's nothing wrong with dating and these things may come up. Okay. Yeah, what I'm saying is in that moment, right? Let the moment pass. And so things like when we have a physical need for sex, all right? And as a Christian, y'all gonna be like, I can't believe she said this, but I'm gonna say it, okay?
You need to say it. Trust me, you need to say it.
It is better for you to do what you need to do and take care of yourself than to get into covenant with someone else. And I'm just putting it out there. Now, whether your beliefs are like, April, I can't believe you said, look, I am trying to keep you guys from being in 3 divorces and being in 3 years of friends with benefits and losing time on your purpose and your goals. Okay. The other thing, and just being, real, when we have sex, there are certain chemicals that react in our brain, right? It makes me feel excited and sexy and this is good and this is fun, all these things. And sex was meant to be fun. Let me be clear about that. Yeah. Meant to be fun. However, after sex, there's something called the after sex blues. So what happens is when these chemicals rise that quickly, they drop. And what happens is that we start to feel those feelings of sadness and depression and regret and things like this. And if you are not in a safe place, and I'm going to say for me, marriage, if you're not in a safe place, then now you're experiencing these highs and lows with someone who may not even care about your emotions. It's not a safe place for you. Okay. So in those moments, exercise. Exercise gives you, it releases the same amount of endorphins and dopamine as having sex does. Go exercise, y'all. I hike, I spin, get out of the house, get off your couch, like go do something physical with yourself. Okay. The other areas when you're angry, this is a time when you need to ask yourself, what are you angry about? And is there something ongoing in your life that you're angry about that you need to resolve before you can be in a healthy relationship? Because here's the thing. If you are perpetually angry by yourself, you're going to be even more angry with someone else. Okay. So when I say angry, I'm talking about like perpetual anger, not like something, pissed me off today. Right. So this is where you need to check yourself and say, what is going on in my life? Because here's the thing, you're not whole at that point. Right. If we're lonely, we just talked about that. We use the scripture where God tells Adam or thinks to himself, it's not good for man to be alone. And a lot of times we've heard that in church in the confines of, I need to get married, right? Because it's not good for man to be alone. Yeah. What God was saying was, it's not good for Adam to not have companionship, someone that was like him, because the other animals had companionship. So once again, loneliness is not solved by dating. Loneliness is not solved by marriage. Some of the times that I've been the most lonely in my life has been in my marriages. Okay. Wow. Say that. So if you're lonely, you just need to get companionship. So that join a group, go to the gym, join a group at the gym, like I said, get a dog, start a business, fill that time with something else. And let me tell you, you get busy enough on your purpose and you're not going to have time to be lonely because you're going to be too tired. Okay. You're going to be too tired.
Hold on a second, guys. Listen, I mean, matter of fact, if you see the comments here, they're blowing up all over the place here. Hey, Trina, I see out there. Kevin Cooperwood, I see out there. And also lovely Des, I see out there. Thank you so much for your comments. And also, these guys are really digging what we're putting down here as well, particularly in regards to these triggers. I wanted to go back to something you said earlier, which I thought was super cool, because this is true. And also, let the feeling pass.
Yeah.
On that. And also because sometimes you get caught up because it's just feeling right now. I'm feeling really, really horny right now. And if you just basically just go ahead and give yourself, matter of fact, help people also understand, matter of fact, give a kind of a time thing to where if you're just able to allow yourself to go ahead and wait for this amount of minutes, you'll probably find yourself that feeling passing. Help us out a little bit. How long typically will one go ahead and start feeling the effects of that passing to where that becomes more manageable? Share that.
So I haven't quite done the studies on the exact same time frame.
Yeah.
But I do know that waiting a short amount of time and doing something different in the moment. Okay. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Okay.
Right?
Got it. All right.
So I'm feeling some of these emotions and I have a choice. I can sit here and I can wallow in it and I can lay in it and I can be depressed, or I can go do something with that time. So like I said, in those moments when it's like, ooh, I'm burning up, I'm going to go take a walk, do something in the moment, guys. Okay. Don't let it sit there and fester, okay? Mm-hmm. Do something in the moment. It reminds me of when Jesus was away for 40 days and Satan came to tempt him, okay? Got it. Right. He tempted him. He was hungry. I'll give you the world. He tempted them with all those things that we feel as humans, okay? Right. Right. When he realized, because Jesus was like, I'm on it. I'm responding right away. What Jesus didn't do is sit there and go, let me think about it, Satan, and let me ponder on it. And no, he responded right away. He took action. And what happened was Satan said, okay, let me go away for a more opportune time. Okay. So this may be something that you're going to face time and time again. And it goes back to having a plan. What is my plan when I feel these things? When I get lonely, I call up a girlfriend. Hey, you want to go grab some lunch? I need to get out of the house. Cool. Let's go. Right.
Got it.
Go shopping. Do something. But I think the key to when we talk about waiting it out is we think we have to wait and be balled up and be in this horrible position and just wait for this to pass. You can take action. Get up and do something. Change your circumstance in that moment.
This is absolutely amazing, guys. Guys, like I said, you've been watching another edition of Progress Not Perfection. And also, I got a relationship expert, April Nowlin, really dropping some bombs of wisdom here to go ahead and help us do what? To holiday proof our relationships going on here. All right. So matter of fact, we've gone over in regards to how to go ahead and keep the peace for divorced individuals coming together with family and all stuff, giving some great advice there. We're talking about in terms of how we can go ahead and help us to halt that effect to be being more healthy there. Let's talk about a little bit while we got a few more minutes, if that's okay with you. Getting ready for a successful relationship. What are some of the things that we can do to go ahead and start getting ready to, and again, you've had a lot of experience in terms of what hasn't worked on that, but you're also getting knowledge in terms of what does work. So in this new season for you, and by the way, you're sharing earlier, and also you are just as excited about new love than you were before. Talk a little bit about that and talk about how you're getting, matter of fact, based upon what you learned, what we all can be doing to get healthier for that relationship, that new relationship, marriage in particular.
Yeah. So like you mentioned earlier, after going through 3 divorces, one of the things that I learned in talking with several friends and colleagues and books and things, talking to several marriage coaches, is that when they coach married people, majority of the issues that they're coaching or counseling on are not marriage issues. They're single issues. They're issues that were not addressed when these people were single before they got married. Now, some of them are married issues, but many of them are single issues. So when we're thinking about preparing ourselves to date, one of the things that we all have to do is face the facts. And that is facing the facts of where am I at in life? What do I want for myself? What healing needs to occur? So I had to do this after my third divorce. I had to face some hard realities of like, April, this wasn't all them. Like
Yeah.
some of this was you. Um, and so one of the ways that we do that is we have to ask ourselves, are we actually single? Right.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I start off with in my divorce, my dating remix workshop is I ask ladies, how many of you are happily single? And I'm like, and most of them are like, no. But if we really knew what being single meant, we would want to be single. And
Mm.
so going back to the Garden of Eden, before God said, it is not good for man to be alone, Adam was single, but he was successfully single. He was walking in his purpose. He had a relationship with God. He was doing the things that God needed him to do. He didn't even know he was alone. And that's a real indicator of, are you truly single, is when you're not even worried about being with someone else. You so busy being single and walking with God and walking out your purpose. You like, oh, a partner. Oh, okay. All right. Wasn't even thinking about that. But there's 3 areas that we look at. And I get this from, I can't remember his name right now, but it's single is separate, unique, and whole. Okay. Dr. Miles Monroe. That's
There
what
you go. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
and when we're preparing to date, we have to ask ourselves, am I actually single? And that does not mean absence of a partner. What it means is, am I separate? So have I separated myself from the things of my past? Have I separated myself from the things that were holding me back? Have I separated myself from the things that were keeping me from God? Am I separate? Right? So when you think about someone who their heart is still tied to the past, a past relationship, or they're still struggling with, for me, it was rejection from my mother. My biological mother was a drug addict. And so I suffered a lot of rejection and feeling like I wasn't loved. And so for me, have I separated myself from those things? So separate. The next thing is unique, right? So in order to be fully single, are we unique? What makes you different?
Right.
How are you any different from any other person out there? There are ways that God made you different. So do you know these ways? What do you think of yourself? Because here's the thing. If you don't think highly of yourself, I guarantee you the person with you is not going to think highly of you either. Okay.
Woo.
How do you look at yourself? This is unique. And then lastly is whole.
Yes.
Whole. When people ask me, girl, how did you get married 3 times, serving in ministry, right? Because this happens all the time, serving in ministry, going to church, being faithful. How did this happen? The simple answer is, I was a broken person marrying broken people. Okay?
Whoa.
We were not whole.
Wow. Wow.
And so when you ask yourself, how do I prepare to date in a healthy way? It's, am I actually single? Am I separate? Am I unique? And am I whole?
Wow.
And so you should get to the place to where you don't need a relationship. You want a relationship, but you want that relationship because you're looking for a purpose partner. You're looking for someone to share your life with, not complete your life. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So that is the litmus test. And there's some other questions I have my clients answer.
This is, guys,
are you single?
This is absolutely amazing. And also, April, you brought the noise, my friend. You brought the noise. I love it. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this too right here. I mean, I'm just getting comment at the comment up here. Awesome. My gosh, this is amazing, powerful. These are just some of the things I'm seeing here. And this is absolutely incredible. Matter of fact, April, obviously you're coming with a treasure trove of information on that. You talked about, now you have some amazing events coming up right now and also one of which is called the Dating Remix. Talk a little bit about that and also about how can people find out more about it and possibly even get involved.
Absolutely. So I started a workshop because I truly believe that healthy marriages start with healthy dating. Okay. So many times, like I said, we get into marriages, then we're trying to figure out things that should have been figured out while we were dating. So I created a resource for people just like me. Right now it is only for women. So if there's some men out there, we can do some one-on-one sessions, but the workshop is for women. But it's called Dating Remix. It's healthy dating resources. And so it really is designed to help women to understand, am I ready? So just like what we talked about, am I actually single? Am I ready to date? And then we talk about setting expectations. So
Mm,
if you are ready to date, what are some realistic and unrealistic
right,
expectations
right,
that
right.
we have in dating? What is the course of a dating relationship?
Mm-hmm.
What should we be looking for? What should we value?
Mm,
And then date, I actually talk about dating as an acronym. So
mm.
the D is do's and don'ts. So we
Wow.
talk about some of those traditional do's and don'ts in
Right.
relationships.
Sure.
The A is for accountability. So we
Mm-hmm.
talk about being accountable to
Yeah,
yourself, to your
sure.
children, and to God.
Mm-hmm.
The T is for timing. So what is the timing of a relationship? What is the course, the natural course that a relationship should take?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the E is evaluation. And
Wow.
so this is evaluating every step of that relationship to make sure we don't mess around and get married and
Yeah.
then figure out we missed something.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
dating remix workshop, it's a 2-hour workshop. I do have 2 dates left so far on the calendar. One is December 3rd and
Mm-hmm.
one is January 4th. They are virtual, so you can attend from anywhere.
Wonderful.
But you can find those at datingremix.com or simply under my name, aprilnowland.com. But great workshop. And I designed it for people like me because I'm single. I'm walking this thing out, guys. And so it's just things that I have learned and studied over the last 3 years about how to truly date in a healthy way. And
Wow.
for me, like many of you guys, how many of you guys actually learned how to date? No one taught us, you
This is
know?
okay. Matter of fact, April, you're getting into a whole nother show here. Going on here and also how to date. I mean, that is a skill set here as well. Guys, I hope you guys have been enjoying this. We can go on and on as well. So again, please go ahead and do that. Matter of fact, so datingremix.com.
Yes.
datingremix.com, and also please go to that website, write it down. This is once again for the kids in the back, and also datingremix.com. Go ahead and do it. You'll actually get a chance to find out more about April as well. Also your ability to go ahead and get professional one-on-one coaching. Guys, listen, matter of fact, this is the season for a lot of people for this. This is the season of the specialist. And sometimes we just need specialists. We've been going to the general practitioner, but sometimes we need to go ahead and get us specialists. So if this is your season, you came at the right time. I recommend thoroughly, if this is your season for getting back into a healthy situation, you dropped a big bomb at the end there in regards to us even knowing how to date and also single, unique, and what was the other?
Oh,
And whole. Are we any of those things? We even just need to have a form of measurement
yeah.
to even know if we're even ready for this, that, or the other. And my friend, I love what you're putting down. So I hope a lot of folks are beginning to go ahead and pick that up. Okay, guys, and also you've been watching another episode of Progress Not Perfection. Hope you enjoyed yourself on that. Continue to go ahead and post your comments. Also, too, don't be selfish. Okay, I want you guys right now to go ahead and matter of fact, send this show to at least 3 of your good friends and also colleagues. Even send it to a couple of enemies. Why not? And also, I want everybody to go ahead and get blessed because this is some powerhouse information. So if you want more information, please go ahead and put that in the comments. If you've forgotten some of the stuff we have, let me know. More than happy to go ahead and forward that to you. But until we get a chance to meet again next time, I want to wish every single one of you a safe and healthy Thanksgiving. Also, a very peaceful Thanksgiving from all my divorced and single people out there as well. Keep peace in the house during the time as well. April, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you again. Okay, guys, this has been another edition of Progress Not Perfection. Until next time, we'll go and say goodbye and God bless. Take care now. God bless you. Bye.